All right, so welcome. We're going to have a little special episode here. We're going to kind of have a meet the host. We're going to talk about Jason's come up, kind of his journey, where you've been, how you got here, where you see yourself going. For those tuning in for the first time, my name's Chad. Jason and I host the SharkNation Live podcast. So let's dive into Jason today. How's it going, man?
Doing awesome. Super pumped to be the guest on the show today.
Yeah, you're
doing
the guest.
Our first podcast here in person, which is always exciting. But yeah, it's been quite the roller coaster, I'd say, the last 10 years for sure.
Yeah. So okay. So 10 years. Take me back. Where are you counting the 10 years?
Well, I mean, we could go back a little before that. I'd say, So one of the things that first happened was, I was 24 years old, and my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, came up and said, "Hey, we're pregnant." I was just finishing up college, man. I was like, oh boy, all right, time to grow up, right? So, luckily I was a senior, getting my degree, and I'm like, I gotta figure out something. I gotta figure out like a job. So being like an entrepreneur, or kind of being, kind of a businessman like I am now, kind of wasn't in the cards. It's kind of like, look, I got a child to feed. I got a wife to take care of. So. My first entry was like, hey, figure out how to be employable, right? Learn that skill first. Learn to be valuable to somebody else, right? So, I was doing IT stuff at the time. It's crazy, but I was working like crazy projects. Like I was that help desk guy that'd be like, move, get out of the way.
You had the job though when you found out, or were you said coming out of college?
No. So yeah, it's kind of what I did. I looked for internships, right? Because I'm like, who's gonna hire like an IT guy with no experience? And like literally, when I finished my degree, it was like 2.03 GPA. I'm like, well, I don't want that on the resume, right? I know I can work my balls off. I can work my ass off. And, so I'm like, I literally messaged like every, I forget what the app was at the time, maybe monster.com or something like that. But I was like, anybody looking for an IT guy, I like hit them up. And like, it's funny because like one of the books that I read at that time was like Whatever It Takes. And it was like a little inspirational thing, but I'm like, whatever you need, I'll do anything, however I could help, I'm here. I'll work. I'll be the first one there. I'll be the last one to leave, and I'll make it happen. And then a vaccine manufacturer took me on as an internship. Worked my ass off there. They hired me afterward as a contractor. Went from contractor there to, like running projects. Like this is so long ago. Like one of the first projects that I oversaw was upgrading like 3,500 PCs in our whole development from Windows 2000 to XP.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how old I am. Yeah. I don't. You might not have had XP.
I did have XP. Windows 2098, and I had NT.
NT.
Yeah. I was a nerd. I was a young nerd. Yeah, but I was a nerd. Okay. So you were the help desk guy.
I was the annoying help desk guy. Not annoying, but taught me how to solve problems, right? So it's kind of one of those.
I want to get into that for 1 second because both in real estate I see it, and then I was in a little bit of that role too. How do you, when you get the same problem coming to you constantly, like maybe even a buyer and seller, right? The same problem. Oh, there's this, and you already know. If you know exactly how the conversation is going to go in help, right? Help desk. Like like how do you control your frustration with the person to like let them like say that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, it's a good question. So, at first I was always like, kind of aggravated, like getting those, we'd have like support tickets, right?
I can't log in.
Yeah, I can't log in. I can't do this. And then I'm like, I kind of have like the epiphany. It's like, if we weren't getting this stuff, why would they even need me? So I thought of it from like a different perspective, and it's kind of translates to real estate now. It's like, people have problems that we need to solve. a lot of them are the same problems that we saw 50 million times over and over throughout the transactions. But if I could solve it, if there wasn't a problem, why would they need us, right?
Which I've always felt that the question of commission, like well, not the question even. Sometimes it's the non-question when they just assume we make money hourly for showing homes.
Yeah.
I know when I started my team, a lot of people would get frustrated with they don't understand. I don't get paid till it closes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's like you need to explain that to them because that gives you an example of where you're needed. Like you're needed in this job. Like you explain things. Like you see how I'm correlating.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest issue and the biggest reason deals or whatever fall through is lack of communication. Mm-hmm. I always say with anything, if it's a relationship with your spouse or whatever, the more you can communicate, the better, right? Because here's the problem. The unknown screws up everything. And it could be something like, a common example is inspection reports, right? I've never seen a blank inspection report in my life, right? They pay $650 or whatever it is, they're going to find something on this report, right? But the unknown of how much that is or how serious that problem is, if you don't alleviate that uncertainty,
the mind wanders.
The mind wanders like, is this a big problem? Is my house going to collapse? All that kind of stuff. But when
what
you
am
can
I
say,
missing?
yeah, what am I missing? It's like, if you could say, hey, look, I got my contractor out there. It's going to cost $2,000 to fix it. We'll see if we could get a credit from the seller and have it wrapped up so it'll be done by the time you close on the house. People are like, oh, it's only $2,000. It's not like, because here's another thing with uncertainty that your mind wanders of how much this is going to cost you, right? I'm already putting up my deposit. I'm already putting up my closing costs. I just paid $650 for this. Like now, how much extra am I going to have to pay for that? If you can't alleviate that uncertainty, that's the deal breaker. And letting people know all the steps throughout the process too. Like, hey, look, you got to go from A, B to C and D, right? As long as you say, okay, we're on B now, and now we're going to go to C. I'll keep you posted what goes on at C, right? And kind of work your way throughout it until you get to closing. But yeah, all that good stuff.
And would you say that first job taught you a lot of those elements on how to deal with that? And
people skills, right?
Yeah.
Before that, it was, I flipped pizzas for like 10 years, right?
You
worked at a pizza shop for 10 years from when I was 14 to 24. That was my first job.
You have more of a similar journey than you realize.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
And I worked my parents had a small, dive bar, dollar beers and shots, that's it, right? So that was my first experience dealing with the public. So I always tell, my clients...
What age was that?
I think it was 18 to 22. Somewhere
18 to 22 pizza shop.
No, 14 to 24 pizza shop.
14 to 20. Oh, so all those years pizza shop.
Yeah.
18 to 22 also with the bar.
Yeah. So basically, when I was in college with my advisor gave me some of the best advice I ever had. He's like, do you want to make pizzas or do you want to work on computers? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't kind of think of it that way because I always just, from when you're 14 and you're working there, not full time, but pretty much full time, it's like you kind of get into that cycle, right?
Yeah, well, and for transparency, what was the year, what was the hourly pay back then?
He actually paid me really good. Yeah, it was a little under the table, we might say. Maybe Uncle Sam, if you're listening, statutes of limitations. What can I say? But no, they paid good. It was like $16 an hour, and I think it might have even went up to like 18.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was there forever.
So it didn't start there. You worked your way up to that. Or?
The first thing how I got the job was kind of the same thing like with the internship. They're like, hey, what would you even do here? You're 14. You don't know shit. Like you can't make pizza or whatever. I'm like, I'll mop the floors, I'll clean up, I'll do whatever I have to do, I'll wash the dishes, whatever. Yeah, whatever it takes.
So, why did you get a job at 14? I know I went backwards. Yeah. We started here and we came here, but I think this is interesting. So, why did you? Because most people don't until they're 15, 16?
Yeah. So,
if that.
Yeah. I don't know if I had expensive taste or whatever, We grew up, we were all right, but we didn't have extra stuff, we kind of had the Nikes that were the Psyches, the fake Nikes and
Payless.
All that kind of stuff. Yeah, the Payless, whatever. I still remember, and I'm scarred to this day of I had these Payless or whatever shoes, right? And they were so plasticky that I couldn't walk on the floors in our like elementary school and I was like sliding like if I was like on an ice rink, and I think I'm like still traumatized to this. I'm like, Mom, these shoes suck or whatever, But so working to get all the stuff I wanted, you know what I mean? So it was like if I wanted the nice clothes or I wanted, at the time I bought like the sweet ass surround sound system for my room, the video game systems, whatever I wanted, I could work for and pay for. But we just didn't have the extra. Like my mom wasn't.
So play money.
Yeah, play money. Yeah, she wasn't buying me a PlayStation. You know what I mean? So.
Okay.
And then, like you said, just dealing with the public. I mean, I always tell my clients like working at a dive bar, for so many years, you're never going to say anything that's going to make me blush. I've seen it all. I've heard it all, Handling that public is a different dynamic, right? So, I mean, all those life skills of problem solving, customer service, people skills kind of led from A to, kind of the real estate journey that I started on.
Which is a good transition, but I think it's worth noting that, I think one of the biggest fears of being an entrepreneur, and that's what being a real estate agent is. It's just it's like a controlled, almost employee feel version of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have a little bit more. It's not just like full tilt your own thing where you open up your own brick and mortar, although you can, and and you have cost of goods sold, and you have this inventory. It's just a little less of that, a little bit more kind of a la carte or protected by the brokerage. But anyway, my point is the biggest fear of an entrepreneur is they're wasting their time.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid hourly, so if you're spending this time and not getting paid for it, that it's a total waste. And you look at that right there. I mean, obviously you're getting paid for those jobs, but you were building skills that you probably still today use and reiterate those lines. Or when I was here, I did this, so you don't want to do that, or right?
Yep. So kind of the next iteration of that was, I went from the IT help desk job to working for Canon, like the camera company.
Yes.
And I traveled pretty much the whole country, but I mean, my territory was, at the end of it, was Chicago East. So I've been, maybe like 1,000,000 miles in the air. Like my round trip flight was like 4 hours. When I first started there, I had to print out like the MapQuest directions to figure out how to get from Pennsylvania to Buffalo. I'm like, Jesus, like, how the hell am I going to even figure this out? I'm like, wanting to quit the first day. But through that, I saw like, okay, who was the highest paid people at the job? And it was the salespeople, right? So I had to learn that skill. I'm like, all right, if I want to get my income to the next level, I got to learn how to sell stuff, right? So I kind of dug in.
So okay though. So found out you're having a baby.
Yeah.
Got the intern job.
Yeah.
Help desk, and then you got over to Canon. What was the push to switch to Canon though?
So income, I literally like I was making nothing. I think I was making like 35 grand a year.
Okay.
And it was like, and then I got I still remember to this day, I got like this offer letter for like 55 grand or something. I'm like, babe, we hit the lottery, shit. We're going Sizzler tonight. You know what I mean? And it was like, they were giving me a company car and all this stuff, and I was like, geez, 27 years old at the time or whatever. And I thought, I'm going to have this expense account. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to travel the world, and it's going to be awesome. So it was like straight for income, right? And then it was an awesome career at Canon. They treated me awesome. My boss, he's still a friend today. A lot of the people I work with are still friends. But it was like, I was like the Philadelphia guy. And then we had a Boston guy, a New York guy, so it was cool just meeting people from all over the country with that. And we kind of had like our little own group, but I worked from home. Mm-hmm. So I was able to, kind of start that real estate stuff as I was working from home and learning the sales skills, right?
Okay. So you had the safety net of a job. You're happy they're taking care of you.
Yeah.
It's good money to you in that time and era. Family's going good, I'm assuming, and everything. What makes you dabble in real estate?
So, yeah, I mean, if people ask now, like, just thinking that, like, oh, yeah, you have this business, the real estate investing and stuff, but I'm super risk, like, conscious, right? So the first thing I did was, like, get out of debt. I'm a big fan of, like, that Dave Ramsey plan. I taught Financial Peace University at my house and at, like, the local church and all that kind of stuff. And then, like, it's like, I had a lot of time to travel, because I was driving between things, so I listened to podcasts, right? And Robert Kiyosaki and all these guys kind of came up, and I'm like, start thinking about investing in real estate, and it kind of just happened. And it was like, my parents at the time were looking to sell a duplex that was right across the street from my primary house.
Okay. So
I was out of debt. It just kind of, everything happened at the same time, at the right time, right? So I bought the duplex across the house thinking like, we had some drug addict neighbors and stuff. I'm like, I can buy this house, I'll fix it up, and I can at least control who my neighbors are, make sure they're not crazy, you know what I mean? So, and it was like literally the worst experience. I bought, like, I knew nothing about buying the property. I think I paid too much, even though they gave me a great deal. It needed a new roof. They didn't winterize the pipes. All the pipes were busted. It had knob and tube wiring throughout the whole thing. I had to rehab both and renovate both units, put siding on the whole thing. It was like a complete rehab, right? So it literally drained my whole bank account. And I'm like, I don't know how to find tenants. I don't know how to do this. And I kind of just, like you said, problem solving, one after another. Okay, what do I have to fix? This. Okay, what do I have to fix? This. Yeah, whatever it takes. And then we got one side rented out, and I started getting some money in from that. I'm like, okay, sweet, I can pay my parents back. It's not going to be freaking awkward at like dinner, having this like 40 grand debt due to them, you know what I mean? So any money that I made, I just paid them directly back. And I was like, all right, so that was the first one for investing.
Okay. So why get real estate license?
So yeah, I mean, I bought the first one, right? And then I couldn't get an agent to show me properties. I'm like, and I was working from home, so my schedule was pretty flexible, right? So I would go out and I'm like, screw it. Like you said, problem solving. I'll do it myself. I could just go do the license at night.
Try to. Yeah.
And I could, I'm planning on buying a lot more properties, so the ROI on that's not going to be much. If I sell one house, or if I buy one house and help somebody sell one house, that pays all my dues, and then it's all gravy. We'll just use that extra income to go on vacation that year or whatever.
Right.
So got licensed. Then so the first year bought one, second year bought two, and then kind of just snowballed every year. Kind of since then.
On the investment side.
On the investment side.
Okay, so got it out of solving a problem.
It wasn't like I'm going to be the greatest real estate agent ever, and this is the career that I was born from. It was like, I just want to invest in real estate. It was cool at my W-2 job. I was making six figures. I'm like, I'm good, man.
So spoiler alert, we know you sell real estate, but so your first sale, did you go, I'm going to sell real estate, or did you stumble into like not buying investment? How did you get into your
just fear? They're like, oh, you got your license, I'll help you.
How'd they know that? How'd they know you had your license?
I'm a talker. I'm not a secret agent. You know what I mean? So I just start talking to people. Hey, I got my license. Oh, we're looking to buy. Or hey, I need you to help me sell this house. And it kind of just like snowballed and snowballed. Were
you intentionally doing that, or you just talking?
No, I was like I said, just kind of just going with the flow. And then I'm like, man, I'm pretty good at it, right? And so then it was like, my W-2 income was here, my real estate income was here, and I'm like, I got to get this closer to the dock. So just
how long of a time frame for that?
Quick, within like a year or two. I went from like nothing to
W-2 was 1 year was getting there.
Yeah, by
2 years.
No, let's see. I got licensed in 2018. Didn't sell much, maybe 500 grand.
Okay.
All right, and then the second year was 2019. First year with EXP, I was like 90% of cap. So what's that, like maybe $2 million or something?
Yeah.
And I thought selling I'm like $1 million in real estate. This is crazy. So I'm getting close to like 40 maybe grand. No, close to 60 grand.
I think 60.
Something like that. Yeah, so it's close. 6 figures, 60 grand. I'm getting closer
you were at
to
6 figures at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
When did this? Wait, where did I miss that? How was it 6 figures? Because you were 55 with a job offer in Cannon.
That's when I first started, but I worked there for almost 15 years.
Okay, so it had kept rising. So you
got
getting
out of debt.
Six-figure, stable, comfortable job. Can travel all
benefits, travel.
Okay. So all right. So now we're at 60. So the third year, the first year wasn't a full year, right? So your second full year.
Second full year with my license, it was like 80% of cap or something like that, almost capped. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome, man. Then I'm like, okay, this could be something, right?
Yeah.
But it was like that old job where it was like I was working my W-2 job and traveling all over the place, and now I got to sell houses from all over the damn world. You know what I mean? So it was kind of, like 100-hour weeks, right? And I'm like telling my wife, like, look, something's got to change. Either one of these got to go. And I'm like, well, I have this stability of this W-2 job and all that kind of stuff, and making good income and stuff, or do I want to do this real estate stuff? And I finally made the jump full time in 2020 when it freaking COVID hit. It was like right when COVID hit, it was like January of 2020. And I'm like, man, something, you hear all the stuff with like China and like the coronavirus and all the COVID and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I was going to quit in January. And then I'm like, let's see what kind of happened. You know what I mean? So
I didn't realize it was that recent. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Time is just different in your mind.
Yeah, time flies, right? So, I think I met you kind of right when I was in that, like,
2019?
Yeah, transition year of, okay, take it a little bit more serious, and then, make a career out of it. But,
so 2020. So ready to do it, but hesitant with what's going on.
We had coronavirus, and then we got shut down for real estate from, like, I think it was, like, March to May or something like that.
Pennsylvania was the last state, because I'm in Pennsylvania as well, to legally let showings occur. Some agents were sliding shit under the mat, but
So at this time, I was telling my boss, hey, look, I'm going to be leaving or whatever. I'm like, I won't even give you 2 weeks notice. I'm like, just let me know how much ever time you need it.
During COVID.
This is during COVID. I told him I was leaving, how I am, not burn the boats, because I always still have a good relationship with him, but burn that bridge so I don't fall back to it. I don't want to have any kind of excuse to go back to it. So I said, hey, why don't you just find somebody to replace me? I could help you train them or whatever. And I think it was like 5 months of still working there. So I think I gave like a 4 or 5 months notice, and I think I left like August of 2020.
Really?
Yeah, I was working freaking crazy hours for like a long time doing both jobs.
And where did was that team at that point or just solo?
Just solo.
So where? Okay. So we're really getting a good arc
2019, 80% of cap, right?
And for viewers' sake, because if they're not at EXP, you cap at $16,000 commission, roughly $2.6 million in sales, roughly. So, when you're saying 80% of cap, it's 80% of $2.6 million. So about $2 million in sales, just for clarity.
Yeah. So then 2020 was the COVID year. So we were shut down half of it, and then that was the first year I hit Icon, was 2020.
And for clarity, I got to do the clarity. So $2.6 million to cap once you cap it as a solo agent if you sell an additional 20 houses. So for those listening, you want a simple mind. If you sell about 30 or 40 houses, depending on your average sales price, you're an Icon agent. So
yeah, right around there. So I think the 2020 I sold like 60 houses. Okay. And then 2021 like 72, and then 2021 72, and then 2022 I think it was like 82. And then it was like,
and what was working? Like what was it? What was your?
I didn't buy like Zillow or anything. It was all just kind of repeat business and referral and sphere and past clients. I work with a ton of investors, so that's another skill, right? I knew the numbers from investing. I knew I had all the boots on the ground: contractors, handymen, electricians, plumbers, lawyers, lenders, everything that they could need, and then I could fill their units with good tenants. So I had a great value proposition to them. It's like, hey, look I'll show you the whole ropes for everything, and then I'll get you a tenant and make sure that, you get good money coming in. I'll get you top dollar for it too, So that was kind of my bread and butter, but it was just like, it just got nuts. So the team kind of started out of necessity where it was like, a couple of people that came on with me with EXP and stuff, and I was like, just take these leads. I cannot, I can't handle them at the time. You know what I mean? So totally ran the team like not the right way. We had no systems, processes, anything like that. And then I tried to get it a little bit more organized, team 2.0, and I'm like, at one point I'm like, screw it, I'm not doing the team anymore. You know what I mean? And then, you kind of brought me back to reality, and you're like, no, give it another shot. Your problem's not the team. It's kind of your own processes and systems and stuff like that. So Team 3.0 is coming on. You know what I mean? And we're kind of just growing and,
All right, so team formed out of necessity. I feel like that's how a lot of teams are formed, and why maybe some things are overlooked or not, formed on a solid foundation sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. But it's formed out of necessity. What did you envision back then? Even if it's just take care of the overwhelming stuff I have right now, and then what was reality with it? Like, what did you want it to be? What did it become?
So, kind of what I wanted it to be was like, here, take this lead, work it, and give me a referral fee, Here, just straight 25%, just do whatever you want. Yeah, I know, you're cringing on the big 2.5 there, but
yeah.
It was like, all right, just help me out or whatever. And then it was like, well, if I'm already a mentor, right, and I'm already training people up, like maybe I could kind of make this more into another business, right? So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to bring people in, I'm going to train them and show them everything and then provide leads. It's like, well, that's kind of the foundation of how the team should be anyway, right? So I'm like, okay, well, if I have leads, I have training, I have kind of some systems and processes, I have an admin at the time and some stuff, I have the pieces in place to kind of make it work, right? So I had to kind of, and one thing that I found that I did like about it with being a mentor is like the teaching aspect, right? So back to the IT job, right? I was a trainer at the end. So I'd fly all over the country and, teach people how to use all the equipment. Like we used to make the big printing machines that would, like say if you go to the movie theater and you see Batman cardboard cut out on the thing or whatever, we'd make the machines that would print on that. Mm-hmm. Our real estate signs, right? Mm-hmm. The things that would print on metal, right? Or glass or whatever. So I would go in, we'd have our technicians set them all up, and then I'd set up all the software, get them on their network, and then I'd train people how to use the software to make them print and then show them how to print the stuff. So we had big roll machines and we had big flatbeds like that. So I was training people there. I liked that because it was like good, you're helping them build their business. The program at the end that we launched was actually called Business Builder, where we would sell you a piece of equipment. We'd go in there, show you how to market and sell all the materials, show you how to print on all this different stuff and kind of get your business from not ever having this stuff to, a full functioning business within like 30 or 60 days or something like that or whatever. So I like the training, helping people switch back to the team, right? So, I'm training them on the contracts. I'm training them up on, how to run the business like a business. And then it's like, okay, I like that. So incorporating all that stuff into one was like, okay, I want to move forward in this path. I could help people. I could grow it as another business and, go from there.
So you liked mentoring. You did it just... And you just did the referral fee, take care of it. Did it take care of it for you? So the objective, let's start a team so I can have less on my plate and still make a good income. In real estate, have some leverage. Did it achieve that?
No, it definitely did not do that. It was like complete opposite, where it's like, man, I'm spending all my time, helping out with all these deals that are not my own, and it's like, is this even worth it? I'm like, what am I doing with myself? So kind of as we were putting it together, I'm like, man, there's got to be a better way for sure. Now, it wasn't exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, and I think that's what you say like I'm cringing about a 25% referral with the team. It's because, well, first and foremost, if you're going to give any agent a name and a number, it's worth 25%.
Yeah.
So that's not, you don't need to be a team to do that. So
too nice.
So a team should be more than that.
Yep.
I understand it's hard to ask for that, but what happens is the team leader doesn't fill up his cup enough. Now systems, processes, training, mentorship, all this stuff, and there's not enough money to make it worth it. You're working negatively or for free, basically, even though there is 25%, it's not, so that's why I think it's important. Like, I'm not like, go out there and get your team members money and
no, it's got to be, you have to run it like a business. I wasn't doing that. Like you said, you're not putting in an account like, overhead for salary, overhead for office space, overhead for systems like CRMs and all this other stuff that you're paying for, overhead for any leads that you have to purchase, all that kind of stuff.
The 10 o'clock text message.
10 o'clock text
how
message.
to write an offer.
Yeah. And then there for hours and hours and hours and hours and training. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff adds up, you know. I think when I did the numbers, you know, I was like, oh, Jesus, like, I'm like, I should just sell myself. It'd be more profitable, and I have my own schedule to do whatever I want, and you know, kind of figure out whatever I want.
Get done.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah. Well, that's a whole podcast episode
for sure.
Okay, but staying on task on your journey. So team formed out of necessity. Found out you liked the mentoring, but it wasn't delivering what it was supposed to for you. What happened?
Yeah, so I mean, after Team 2.0 kind of fell apart, it was like right around last year with like shareholders in like May, and you know, we all met up and we're talking about it. And you know, the epiphany was, you know, like I said, it wasn't the team members, it was the systems and processes, right? So you know, and we're always constantly tweaking this, but putting the foundation wasn't built. The foundation was not strong to build it off of, right? Mm-hmm. So I recircled back. I got a new admin, you know, because that was one of the issues with the old team, like, you know, just getting paperwork and stuff done. And then, okay, you know, an onboarding process and a training schedule and, you know, a process to follow leads from A to B, right? You know what I mean? So all that kind of stuff had to kind of fall into place. And we're still tweaking it now. And then, okay, you know, if certain agents are on the team and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing to kind of get where they need to go, I gotta like take a like step back. I can't like hold that on me, you know, because I think a lot of the problems that, you know, team leaders have is you think that it's your problem that, you know, some people are not as successful as you are, and sometimes you'll even get that from them. Well, it must be nice that you're doing this and you're doing that. It's like, besides, you know, I have 25 rental units. I have 3 children, 19, 13, and 2. I'm running my own real estate business and the team. It's like, I find the time to get all this stuff done. Plus, we have a couple different ancillary businesses with that. So there's a lot going on, right?
Oh, there's like I always said this, when you're mentoring people, it's one thing you teach them everything you do, your core concepts and all that stuff. But they have to make small micro decisions. You know, if you counted them up, it's thousands of decisions, probably per day even, because there's multiple like per minute that you're making. And, and one of those examples is, I had one where the agent, if they got, I'm just looking, they'd say, okay, have a good day, right? And I would, and you don't want to be salesy, but I would go further. I'd say, oh, cool, I want to be of value to while you're looking, and what areas caught your eye, and I'd have that further conversation. And I'm sure you can resonate where it's like, you know, they say like, oh, like easy for you because you have this and that, but and not every team member. I'm just, but I'm saying like, right, like, so, you know, running a team, how do you show them that it is? Well, how do you show them two things? How do you show them it's possible for them?
Yep.
And also at the same time show them that they're not doing every micro thing you might do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, one thing. Your past predicts your future, right? So a lot of time to kind of hit home on, don't do as I say, do as I do, right? Look at my calendar for the last, 5 years.
Right.
It's blocked. There's always something going on. I'm blocking everything off and taking care of the tasks that I need to, So trying to get them on a daily schedule of activities, right? Because like I said, the biggest problem is like being an agent is the freedom. I mean, the freedom just kills everybody because it's like you don't have that boss over your shoulder telling you what to do. I was laughing. I was talking to my old boss from Canada, and I'm like, I wish I had you as my boss. I'm like the biggest dictator boss ever. Like, I'm driving myself to the bone. He's like, yeah, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And it was like, you see the activities that produce results. So, I think that buy-in comes where it's like, hey, look, he's doing it. If I just do the same things he's doing and set up a schedule of activities to do daily, right? That's why we kind of like that daily sprint where it's like, don't worry about the outcome and how many sales you're going to have. Just worry about your simple daily activities. If you keep doing those every single day, the results will come.
Yeah. You win the day. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, and it's, I mean, there's so many angles, there's so many ways you go with this, but it's. I think what's important to see. You talked about like looking at your schedule, do as you do, not as you say, type thing. I think it's like a team when you're still in production. You've got to show them the dirty, the nitty gritty. You can't baby them with their split and baby them with what's required.
Yep.
I know I was guilty of that. You baby them like, make what calls you can, and like hold them. You have to hold them to the same standard. I know you and I hold ourselves internally to high standards. We're going to get the work done.
Yeah.
But we don't always, we're easy go.
Yeah. Right? I'm too nice for sure. I am like so nice, and I'm like, I feel bad, with team members that were on the team that are like, I wasn't as strict with because I wasn't leading right. And I told them like, hey, look, I'm sorry I wasn't the leader that you needed.
Right.
I can't be your best friend.
It's hard. It's a hard
conversation
because you want the best for them. So, and because you want the best for them, and you just want no friction, and you want things to go well, mm-hmm. But then you realize in hindsight that if you would have been more strict, you would have gotten them what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like a paradox because
well, I was talking to them, and I'm like, look at. The reality is, if you keep going where you're going, you're not going to be an agent at this time next year. Mm-hmm. You have to have that income coming in. How do we get there? So kind of cleared the whole slate. Look at, this is what we're going to do moving forward, right? And, kind of, the going to the board stuff, or like, what kind of accountability do you want? Mild, medium, or hot sauce? And then, some people are saying that they want hot sauce, and I know you're watching, and... You want that accountability, but you don't want to do the activities, that are required. But you'll get there. I mean, you got to just stick with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is putting yourself around people that push you. We see it in the movies. We see the hard coach. Or I was watching. I don't know. It's relevant. It's fresh in my mind. I was watching Gran Turismo, and if you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. It's a great movie. If you watch Stranger Things, the guy from Stranger Things is in it. So watch it. Points. Yes. The point was he's pretty harsh on the people that come through this program. But that's what made them better, was he pushed them. And, we like it in the movie. We're like, yeah, that got the best result out of them. But when we're in real life and that person's screaming at us and giving us problems and telling us we suck and we're like, we don't want to hear that. Yeah, this couch is cozy over here. There's no friction. I don't want to be on these metal spikes,
Well, that's the dynamic between, the freedom of being an agent, right? And then the reality, like, this is your job.
Right.
You have to clock in, sometimes you don't get to clock out when you want to in this job. Sometimes you're working when people aren't working. Most people work 9 to 5. Our jobs are mostly nights and weekends, right? So you kind of get in that dynamic. So when people are working, that might be your time that's more free time, or getting your paperwork done, or making your calls to set up that future business. You know what I mean? But you can't just sit there and watch Gran Turismo every day over and over again. And people don't like that over the shoulder. Like, nobody likes to be told what to do, right? That's the hard part. I don't like telling them, hey, you got to do this, this, and this, or else you're not going to make any money. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's a balancing act. But if I want to be the team leader that I want to, and I'm going for coaching for this, you know what I mean? Like, I know I don't know everything, right? So I want to know exactly what I need to do to help the people that are entrusting me on to help them. You know what I mean? So it's like, but if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep getting what I get, right? And it's not helpful for anybody. So
yeah, it's a fun line to walk. So where are you going? Where are you going from here?
So, a couple business ventures that are coming up. There might be some stuff with the mortgage company. Mm-hmm. We have in-house title now. We have utility company coming up. You know what I mean? Like, there's the different real estate related branches that we could do. Or there's talks of possibly opening a contracting company, for construction and renos.
Yep.
There's talks on opening a moving company. You know what I mean? So kind of diversifying the portfolio there. And then for the team, I'm looking to put the systems and processes in place to go from where we are right now, I want to be the number one team in the state, and then I want to be the number one team in the country. So that's the vision. That's where we're going.
I love it.
Even though you're in the same state, we might butt heads on that, but friendly competition.
Same state, crazy different court.
Yeah, there's room for both of us.
We'll see if we can tie.
Just tie. That'd be funny.
Yeah. I'm joking. I'm making you feel good. No, it's good. That's what's fun. That's what's fun about this business. No, it's cool. I mean, I think it's interesting diving into your journey like that. And I mean, I think. Well, so you look at all that, you look at all the different businesses, what's the why there? What's the why on this vision?
Yeah.
Being big team,
So, a couple things. One, before I forget, I want to touch back on, during that Canon time, I went back and I got my master's, MBA, right? So I like the whole business dynamic and running businesses.
Okay.
Right? So my undergrad, I finished with a 2.03 GPA or something like that. I was like 3.98 or something for my MBA. So not a dummy, just didn't really care in college. But, when I was in Canon and saw the W-2 corporate environment. So think about this. I'm going from business to business to business, and I'm seeing the layoffs, right? And the downsizing and the cultural restructuring of corporate America. I'm like, fuck that, man. I don't want to do any of that shit. And I'm working for corporate America, right? So I kind of call it like the golden parachute, right? So I was preparing by getting my license and kind of setting up this real estate business in case anything happened, because they were always talking about laying us off and all that kind of stuff. Always productive, Corporate America, you're just a line item on a spreadsheet. It's a tough gig. People think it's secure, but it's not. Even if you have that security blanket of, the benefits and the this and that and paid time off and all that kind of stuff, they'll let you go, if to make the numbers make sense, right? So I'm always looking for that golden parachute. So my first one was from W-2 to real estate. This next golden parachute that I'm developing is, okay, in case something happens, right? I have a small daughter. She has some special needs, right? I might not be able to be in the weeds all the time for, selling real estate. So now if I have income coming in from this business, this business, I can kind of take myself out of that and then kind of, be where needed, or maybe have all the different financial means that I need to kind of take care of whatever I need to. Like I said, I got one in college, one in diapers, right? And then a 13-year-old that took the rest of my hair. So, I mean, these kids are expensive as shit, you know what I mean? So it's trying to have that parachute, so ancillary businesses, so then that way they're working when I'm not working. There's always money coming in if something happens to me.
Too big to fail.
Too big to fail, for sure. So.
That's good. I like it. Well, I think that'll be valuable. I think it's valuable that we took these special episodes to see the journey and the nitty gritty of where we're at, because sometimes people can tune in to the fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, and not have seen the whole season that led up to, and the grinding practices and
the fluff, the social media highlights. Oh, you're selling this and you're selling that, but you don't see the daily grind and how we want to curl up in a ball and cry on our couches because we're this hit us or that hit us, or this is just tanking. Yeah,
it's a roller coaster. And then too, if we go further in this journey, I think it'll be cool to look back on what the vision was here, or what we you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So these versions of us, they'll know where we'll be in 5 years, and we're probably making some big mistake we don't know of now.
That's one thing about me. I like to be a constant lifelong learner. I'm always reading a book. I'm always listening to something. I'm always trying to get better at the craft. All these skills you can learn and all this other stuff that's coming out there that you're not aware of. All the information's out there. Take advantage of it.
You mean you don't just sit on a beach and just collect money like that?
We are actually in Tampa, collecting money, and not the beach, but we got some nice water out front.
It's too cold today.
Yeah.
Well, the beach is more fun whenever you've earned it.
Yes.
Well, good. Thank you so much for unpacking that.
Yep. Hope it was helpful. it's not just an overnight success, right? You know, people are like, oh, well, it must be nice that you're going here, here, and here, or whatever. You know, you have to set the foundation to do big things, right? So if you're not where you want to be right now, well, what do I need to be? Like, there's a great book.
Who, Not How?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Who, Not How. It wasn't Who, Not How, but it was like 10x is better than, or
2x.
easier than 2x. And the concept is like, you know, figure out who you need to be in the future, right? Because everybody, like I said, I was an IT introvert, help desk guy, behind the scenes. I don't want to talk to anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, who did I want to be in the future? I wanted to be a sales rep because I knew my income would go up, right? So how do I become that? Okay, now how do I become a business owner? Now how do I become the best team leader? Now how do I become the best entrepreneur or whatever? You know, it's always a learning path, right? So don't be stuck at where you're at. Figure out where you want to go, and then work your way backwards on making it happen.
And do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes, for sure.
Well, thanks, man.
You got it.